Welcome to today's Sustain Talks. As you can tell, today is a little bit different. This is the last Sustain Talks this year, and we wanted to just swap it up a little bit. And today I'm the COO of Cande Consulting, so I work very closely with Sam Cande, who is your normal interviewer. Well, today I will be interviewing Sam. So, Sam, can you tell us a little bit about your background and who you are?
Yes, thank you. And it feels really weird to be doing this the other way around, but it's good to be here. So my background, I've been 20 years in the exhibition and conference industry. I've run some of the largest exhibitions in housing, manufacturing, business travel. I've had events where we've had over 12,000 and 30,000 attendees and 400 exhibitors and sponsors. Yeah, really, really large events and some really niche conferences as well. But 10 years ago, I was the director of Sustain magazine, which is where I started my sustainability journey. And then 5 years ago I launched Level, which is a non-for-profit organisation to support parity, diversity and inclusion in the travel industry. And 2 years ago I was made the chair of the Business Travel Association Sustainable Committee, which is, I guess, where it brought me back into this world.
Wow, that's amazing. Such great achievements, Sam. So talking of great achievements, one this year has obviously been Sustain Talks. They've been incredibly popular. What made you come up with the idea?
Yeah, I love Sustain Talks, and I'm always so fascinated by the people that I interview. But it started out, I was having a conversation with Gwyn Jones, who's one of the directors at Association of Sustainability Practitioners, and I was talking to him and I was thinking, I wish everybody could hear this conversation. He's so inspiring, and just thought, how can I share the conversations that I'm having, and how can I put out some really good regular content and give something back, and do it for free. So that's how it started, and it's just gone from strength to strength. I've had such great conversations, and I feel quite lucky to get that insight.
Wow, and we definitely feel lucky watching them, Sam. So one of the questions you often ask your guests on Sustain Talks is what they think about sustainability and social responsibility. So what are your views?
I think that you can't look at one without the other. I think that it all comes in together. I do really think that we are going through a climate crisis, and I think that the responsibility needs to sit with every single person, not just the government and not just the big businesses. 95% of companies are SMEs, and if they don't do something, if they don't make the changes, then we're never going to get there. Don't focus on what others are doing. Focus on doing good yourself, because doing good spreads. So yeah, I think that's the thing with all of it, and it really is holistic, and you can't just be environmental and not think about your workplace. You have to think about absolutely everything, the sustainability and social responsibility side.
Wow, Sam, that's really important. So obviously, apart from Sustain Talks, your other big news this year was the launch of your conference. What made you launch the conference?
So for me, I was looking for my purpose. It started with some work I was doing with CSR accreditation. They work in the 4 pillars: environment, workplace, community and philanthropy. And I was struggling to find an event that had all of those things in. I wanted companies to be able to learn to become more sustainable and socially responsible. All the events I saw that were out there, they were just too high level. Like for an SME, they would get a bit lost in all the terms, and they might not necessarily have a dedicated sustainability or CSR person or a team, then it becomes quite challenging for them. If you don't know what good CSR looks like, or you don't know how to measure your carbon footprint, or what ESG is, or why it's important to have a diverse workforce. So I kind of felt that I was filling a gap in the marketplace, and I just wanted to really educate people, guide people, inspire people, and wanted to work on something that fulfilled my purpose too, and do something good for the climate and for social impact.
Wow, that's really amazing, Sam. So are you, talking the talk, walking the walk? How are you making your businesses socially responsible and sustainable?
So for us, as a business, we all work from home. Our culture is warm, supportive and flexible. I hope you'll agree with that.
It sure is, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, we rarely travel for meetings. Actually, we've said this before, but me and you, we never would have been able to work together if we weren't flexible. But when we do travel for meetings, we make sure we pick the most sustainable way to travel. We mostly eat vegetarian, and I say mostly because Karen, you're obviously a vegetarian. I'm what's called a flexitarian. I've really reduced the amount of meat that I eat. We don't have printers. We're really particular about our suppliers being sustainable. And the most important thing is that education on sustainability and social responsibility, which is one of the best things you can do if you can teach people to be more socially responsible and more sustainable.
That's amazing. But obviously, there's a bit of a big issue here. You're going to be running a conference. Now, conferences are notoriously unsustainable, aren't they? How are you making your conference different?
Yeah, they are. And, we will not be using any unsustainable materials at the conference. If it's not recyclable, if it's not made out of sustainable materials, then we won't use it. Sponsors will not be able to bring big stands. This is not an exhibition. There won't be any plastic giveaways. We're going to enforce that from our exhibitors and sponsors. Manchester Central has a very robust environmental policy, and we're going to be ensuring that there's limited food wastage. We won't use any single plastics. For every person that attends, we're going to plant a tree to thank them for attending. We're going to have a strictly vegetarian menu, and at the very end, we will be measuring our carbon footprint for the event, and then as a last resort, we will offset the final amount.
Wow, that's really interesting. So there's going to be lots for people to learn just being at the event. They'll be able to see how to sort of work, more sustainably as well. That's really interesting. So you said earlier that, to make a difference with this, everybody needs to be involved, whether that's governments, businesses and individuals. So what do you think that people can actually do themselves to make a difference?
I ask this all the time, and the core things are: look at your energy suppliers. That's always come out as a number one. But for each individual person, reduce your meat. Fly much less. And I used to be terrible for this. I used to fly all the time for business, and actually now I don't need to have 5 holidays a year. I don't need to fly to business meetings every week. Be considerate to the environment in every single move you make. And then in social responsibility, think about who you can employ, how you treat your staff and how you support them, which charities you partner with and why. Don't just do a poll and ask your staff. Like, really think about those charities and how you can help them. Could you help them with mentorship or with products, and really think about your purpose. They're my core things that you can do to make a difference.
Well, Sam, that's really, really interesting. So I'm going to ask you now one of your favourite questions that you get to ask your your guests on your show. So tell me, who inspires Sam Cande?
Everyone that I speak to inspires me. I always get to the end of my Sustain talks, I'm like, oh my God, you're so inspiring. But of course, I'm inspired by Greta Thunberg, Vanessa Nakate, Mike Berners-Lee. How Bad Bananas, always on my desk, so
in
that
fact, Sam bought me that for my birthday a couple of weeks ago. So, and actually, I would say as well, it's a great book, really, really interesting. I think for me, there are things that I expected to be like high impact that actually weren't, and vice versa. Really great book.
Yeah, but really the two people that have stood out for me in this journey of mine have been Richard Collins, the founder of CSR Accreditation and Training, who I have so many meetings with him, and every single time I hear him speak and listen to him, I'm inspired by him. And then Gwyn Jones from the Association of Sustainability Practitioners. Me and Gwyn have been known to go on for hours in our conversations. I learn so much from him all the time, but those two people certainly, and you know, everyone that's trying to make a difference, everyone that's educating, everyone that's putting themselves out there and putting themselves forward to make a difference in this world.
Brilliant, Sam. Well, there are actually Sustain talks for those guys, so we'll link those below. Brilliant. Thank you ever so much. So as I said, this is the last Sustain talks for this year, but we will be back in January. Hope you all have a great sort of holiday and New Year. Sam, did you want to say anything to wrap up?
No, just have a really, really great Christmas and New Year, and think about being sustainable and socially responsible in your holidays, and have a great end of the year. Next year is going to be very, very exciting, and we can't wait.
That's brilliant, Sam. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Bye.